Hey everybody, Foley here for the weekly news recap. Hey Melwin, how's it going? Morning to you too. Ish? Afternoon? Something? I don't know, I just woke up. It's morning to me. Anyway, it's time for the weekly news recap for the 1st to the 7th of May 2023. So, get into it. So, a couple of games announced this week. One of them also announced with some gameplay. It's a game called Chrono Odyssey. This is set to be a action RPG MMO, or a Mumu, as I call them, because it's funnier. Anyway, this is from a developer called Pixel. This is their very first game, so this is quite the hubris, perhaps, to have your debut game be effectively a Dark Souls MMO. That's a bit much. It's possible they're setting themselves up for a fall here, but anyway, it certainly looks nice. It looks very pretty. How much of this is going to take an impact when they have to scale it up to have massively multiple people online all at the same time? I guess we'll see. It's still early days, there's no release date or anything like that, and let's skip ahead to combat and what have you. So, obviously you're only seeing one player here, but it's going to be an MMO, which means lots of people, so let's skip ahead to the lots of people parts. There's I think world bosses and that kind of thing they're going to be going with. So Monster Hunter is able to do this kind of thing, right? But the maximum number of people is 4, right? That's not exactly massive. It's not exactly massive multiplayer online. Whereas this is looking to have considerably more than that. And kind of the way Monster Hunter gets away with it is that the arenas are small. And also there's only 4 of you on, at the same time. Whereas they're looking to have a much bigger arena here. And with considerably more than 4 people. We'll see how it plays out, I guess. It's still early days. I'd say it's still a couple of years out before the game itself is actually ready. And plus, it's an MMO. That's the kind of thing you're going to want to have going for years and years and years and years. So I hope they do well. But we'll see. Anyway, that's Chrono Odyssey. Another game also announced completely on the complete opposite end of the spectrum for technical difficulty, I think, is Double Dragon Gaiden. So Double Dragon Gaiden is effectively a kind of somewhat soft reboot of the Double Dragon series that has not really had an entry in it for quite some time now. Probably started the whole side-scrolling beat-em-up genre of games. So the Double Dragon Gaiden is the return of Bimmy and Jimmy. It looks like there's some kind of tag team ability going on where you can, as a single player, swap in characters, which might be interesting. There's also some additional characters, Marion, who typically gets kidnapped and or stabbed at the beginning of every game. Or at least at the beginning of the first Double Dragon. And there will be more characters added, I think, as the game goes on. Sure, the Double Dragon series has gone up and down in terms of quality. Some of the first ones were good. Then it was very much eclipsed by things like Streets of Rage. Let's see how it goes. It might end up being good. Amnesia the Bunker has gotten some additional gameplay. 10 minutes of gameplay. So Amnesia the Bunker is Amnesia 4, I think. So from the guys behind the other Amnesia games and Soma, which is on the channel. You can check it out if you want. We did a full Let's Play of it. Yeah, it sure seems like it's more Amnesia. Sure seems like it's more get killed for no reason whatsoever. Just trying to go about my day, and now I have to run away from something. I appreciate the atmosphere of Amnesia. I do not like its gameplay. I don't like cat and mouse horror stealth stuff. I just don't like it. I just find that it is slow and unnecessary in a lot of places. You can do horror without having me do, trial and error stealth segments, honestly. But anyway, I think this might be the first Amnesia with a gun. So I guess they've got that going for them. And I do like that they've gone with the old World War One flashlights to get away, to still keep the, your flashlight runs out of batteries incredibly fast mechanic, without it feeling like you have to ration your batteries. Like, there's no rationing of your batteries now. You just have to pull the cord every now and then. It still keeps the mechanic. So, I mean, that's a clever way to do it. I'm not sure how it would work if they ever go into the future with it, but at least it's a way to do it. Anyway, there's more to that video. As I said, it's like a 10-minute long thing. You can check it out yourselves. The link will be in the description. Okay. Xbox Game Pass has added a couple of games. Or not, has it added them? Some of them I think are out now. Some of them are coming soon. Anyway, we have 4 additional games for May, as well as Redfall. More on that in a minute. So Ravenlock is a sort of Alice in Wonderland type thing, but legally distinct, I guess, because they wanted to use their own characters, maybe. Anyway, you are Ravenlock. You go back to a fantasy adventure land called not Wonderland, probably called something else. It's Alice in Wonderland. Anyway. Weird West Definitive Edition. Weird West is a isometric RPG, not unlike the Baldur's Gate type games, not unlike Disco Elysium in some ways, but it's set in the Weird West, or the Wild West, but a bit weird. It's a pretty good game, pretty good series, and the Definitive Edition now has all of the good stuff on it. Weird West, another one for the list. Yes, put it at least a little high on the list, like top 20. Just slot it right in there. Slotted in after Alien Isolation. The Shadowrun trilogy is actually a similar series, or not similar series, a similar genre. It's an isometric RPG. Shadowrun trilogy collects 3 of the Shadowrun games. It is a tactical RPG, though, so it's somewhat like the XCOM type games. It is set as... Hey, how's it going, Banana? It is set as... It's run in the D&D universe, so it is a Dungeons & Dragons game. However, Shadowrun is a future version of Dungeons & Dragons. So there's elves, there's orcs, there's tieflings, and so on, but they all have, like, laser guns and cyber bows and that kind of thing, and meta magic, I don't know, something like that. Anyway, Fuga Melodies of Steel 2 I've never heard of, but furries are gonna love it by the looks of things. The sequel to the captivating tale of Fuga is coming soon. It's another turn-based RPG. Okay, it's another turn-based RPG. It's a lot of turn-based RPGs this month for Game Pass. Okay. Moving on, but sticking with Game Pass, Xbox has launched a PC Game Pass friend referral thing, so you can invite up to 5 of your friends, and say, hey, do you want to try out PC Game Pass for 14 days for free? Here you go. Here's a free 14-day trial thing. Hey, friends, don't invite me, because I can't run any of the games. Okay? Not me. It's any of your other friends. Not me. Okay? Don't do it. Don't do it, all of my friends. Don't do it. If you want to, up to 5 friends can get a 14-day PC Game Pass trial with all sorts of fun games there. Another PSA, Sony's PlayStation Plus collection is coming to an end this week. Not this week, next week. Well, if you're watching this on YouTube, this week. So the PlayStation Plus collection, not to be confused with the PlayStation Plus catalog, they're not the same thing, I know, stick with me. The PlayStation Plus collection was a number of games, 20, I think, 25 possibly, that launched with the PS5. If you bought a PS5 and had a PlayStation Plus account, you had access to 25 games for free. And some of them are like really good. It's like Persona 5 is there, Final Fantasy 15 was there, Bloodborne, Until Dawn, Death Stranding, a lot of good stuff there. And you can still add them to your PlayStation Plus library if you own a PS5. So make sure to do that before next week, because otherwise they're gone. Some of them are already on the PlayStation Plus catalog, so you won't miss out, but there are a few of them aren't. So here's your PSA, go do it now. The free Epic game for this week on Thursday isn't a game at all. It's an add-on for The Sims 4. It's the Daring Lifestyle bundle that collects the Jungle Adventure Game Pack, the Luxury Party Stuff Pack, and the Fashion Street Kit. There you go. That's what you get. Chances are you've pirated all this stuff already. So, moving on. Those are some of the games you can play coming soon, and some of them are just add-ons. But what if you wanted to play something right now? Well, you could, if you wanted to, play Redfall, but I would maybe suggest you don't, because its reviews are not very good. The Sims has so many things. It has way too much stuff, honestly. A lot of that should just be collected in a single bundle. Anyway. Redfall, the definitely not Left 4 Dead, but vampires game, has been getting absolutely slated in reviews for just being boring as fuck, and very much not an Arcane game. So this is from the people, you wouldn't know it, but this is from the same people who made Deathloop, Prey, Dishonored. It doesn't feel like it. Certainly from the people who've done some Let's Plays that I've seen of it, it just looks so boring. The vampires are super weak, they're super dumb, your abilities are largely unnecessary because you can just shoot enemies to death. It's like, why did you bother? It's very disappointing anyway. Luckily, it's on Game Pass, so you don't have to pay €60, $60, £60, whatever it is. 60 of your nation's currency. Actually, it's probably more in some places. Anyway. Yeah, it's disappointing. Like, this was supposed to be a pretty big release for this year, and its reviews are hitting somewhere between the 50s and 60s, so... Anyway, we'll move on. More to that in a second. On the other end of the spectrum, though, Age of Wonders 4 is getting really good reviews. Age of Wonders is it's not a hex crawl kind of thing, I guess, but it's like the other Age of games. That doesn't really help. Isometric world building kind of things. Age of Wonders is a lot more like magic focused. Like you're like some kind of wizard king ruling over your empire and trying to, take over other empires, and you employ magic and dragons and all sorts of other fantasy stuff, as opposed to something like Civ, which is a lot more focused in the real world technology and that kind of thing. Age of Wonders is a lot more fantasy based. It is on, I think, pretty much everything except the Switch. It's getting pretty good reviews. Moving on. However, now that we have gotten through all of the updates and new releases, it is now time to talk about the worst part of video games. The video game industry. So, Xbox boss raises eyebrows with claim Microsoft expected Redfall reviews to be double digits higher. That's a long title. You could have already made that shorter. Anyway, so Phil Spencer, as part of an interview he was doing with IGN, I think, it was a pretty long interview, but some parts have been picked out, and this was kind of one of the more interesting ones, is that Microsoft expected the game to score much better in the critics' reviews. Redfall was expected to land with an average review score double digits higher than the one it actually got. Now, 10 is a double digit, but so is 50. So, like, how much more, how much less, we don't know. But according to Phil Spencer, we do mock reviews for every game we launch. This is double digits lower than we thought we would be with this game. That's one of the disappointing things. We would never strive to launch a game that we thought was going to review in the low 60s. It's not part of our goals. You have launched some pretty shit games over the years, Xbox. Don't give me that. You absolutely knew some of these games were going to be terrible. A fundamental piece of feedback that we get is that the game isn't realizing the creative vision it had for its players. That doesn't feel like a hey, just delay it. That feels like the game had a goal to do one thing, and when players are actually playing, they're not feeling that thing, they're not feeling the creative execution of the team. So, as part of the interview, Phil Spencer is saying that they took a hands-off approach in Redfall, and they felt that they should have had more hands-on. I think it's the other way around, honestly. The fact that this is very much not Arcane, and it's the first game released by Arcane after being acquired by Microsoft, and we're expected to believe that they didn't meddle at all, even though we know they scuppered the PS5 version of the game. Come on, Phil. Come on. Come on. Anyway, as part of the whole thing, there is this thing called mock reviews that a lot of the bigger publishers do, which where they get in games journalists to review a very almost finished version of the game and give it an internal review so they can see, you know, what's expected. They can tailor their expectations, their sales expectations, and so on, or they can, you know, delay the game and, you know, fix some things. Occasionally, mock reviews do highlight that, but most of the time, mock reviews are just going to tell the developer what they already know. You know, they're just going to tell them that the game's a bit sluggish, you know, the pacing needs to be fixed, these things don't make sense, etc., etc., and they're like, yeah, we kind of knew that already, but it's good to get an independent viewpoint. It's pretty rare for a mock review to come back and go, your game is shit. And for them to go, what? We thought our game was incredible. The stuff that came up as part of the actual press reviews, that the emptiness of the world, the enemy AI, the storytelling, all of those would have been obvious while the game was in development and should have been called out. If we are to take Phil Spencer at his word, clearly Microsoft needs some new mock reviewers. Either Phil is telling the truth, and they hired some really bad mock reviewers, or Phil's maybe being a bit, he might be, you know, telling a couple of lies there. We have to kind of wonder that, did Phil Spencer and his team really have no idea of the shape and state that Redfall was in the run-up to release? I find that very hard to believe, as do I. I very much feel Xbox mandated, always online, multiplayer focus, all of that stuff. Will we ever know? Probably not. I imagine they're under NDA not to say anything. It's easy for Phil Spencer, being head of the company, or being head of the branch at least, to throw people under the bus. It's not so easy for, you know, some unknown developer to come out and say, yeah, they meddled. We probably won't know for like 15 years or something when people, you know, go back and say, what was the development of Redfall like? Shite. Anyway. Moving on. Former Dragon Age writer says BioWare eventually resented its writers. So currently, the Writers Guild of America is on strike because, I mean, you could probably imagine why. Suits and upper management are just being shitheads to them. And they finally decided, you know what, fine, fuck you, we're going on strike. So as part of that, some writers have been giving interviews, have been stating their position and all that kind of stuff, and some of them are former video game writers. One of them is David Gator, who did writing for Dragon Age. He's done writing for the first 3 Dragon Ages. There's allegedly a Dragon Age 4, apparently. We keep hearing about it, but never seeing any gameplay of it, but apparently it's there. Okay. He said that writing with BioWare went from being valued to being quietly resented at the company. Writing is constantly undervalued. Even BioWare, which built its success on a reputation for good stories and characters, slowly turned from a company that vocally valued its writers to one where we were quietly resented, with a reliance on expensive narrative seen as the albatross holding the company back. I'm not surprised, honestly. You can tell there is a massive drop in the narrative focus in BioWare after Dragon Age 1. Knights of the Old Republic, really strong story. Neverwinter Nights, really strong story. Jade Empire, yep, really good story. Mass Effect 1, excellent story. Dragon Age Origins, the story's a little bit muddled, but it's pretty good. Dragon Age 2, Mass Effect 2, it's not as good as Mass Effect 1 story. I love Mass Effect and Dragon Age, I do too, banana. But I gotta say, when the story's not great, Mass Effect 3, huge stink about the Mass Effect 3 ending because of how bad it was. Dragon Age Inquisition story, I don't remember it. Legitimately do not remember how that game ended. And then Anthem, did Anthem even have a story? I don't know. Like, you can absolutely tell that they just... I love Dragon Age Inquisition a lot. I don't, honestly. Dragon Age Origins, yes. I don't like Inquisition all that much, honestly. Suddenly all anyone in charge was asking was, how do we have less writing? Good story would simply happen via magic wand rather than be something that needed support and priority. Yeah, Dorian hated me. I didn't do anything to him. He just seemed to hate me for some reason. Maybe because I never took him out into combat. That's possibly why he hated me. The relationship between the WGA and game writers haven't been a chummy one. 2019, the guild removed an award for video games writing. So this is kind of the issue in that video game writing in general is undervalued by people in the video game industry, but also writers outside of the video game industry don't see video game writing as, you know, something to be lauded or something to be awarded because they took an award away from it. Despite that, video game writers are in favor, for the majority of them at least, are in favor of the strike, but it just highlights how even writers themselves devalue the writing in video games. It's not a good position for you guys. You want to go on strike and say that writing is important, storytelling is important, etc., etc. They should be paid, you know, properly because of that. They should be treated well, but not video game writers. Fuck them. Like, come on, guys. Come on. What are you doing? What are you doing here? Anyway. Moving on. Bungie has won $12 million in a Destiny 2 cheat seller lawsuit. So this is a lawsuit that came about in 2021. They alleged that the defendant had developed and sold a popular cheat software that allowed cheaters, to aiming more accurately and allow them to see through walls, so wall hacks. They alleged that this diminished the enjoyment of people not cheating, and reduced its potential revenue from in-game sales. That's quite the claim. You know, that's quite the claim that because other people were cheating, I'm not going to buy anything in the store. I mean, really? That's quite the leap. There's a lot of steps in between there. I probably wasn't going to buy anything in the store anyway, because I paid fucking €60 for your game and you're still trying to get me to buy shit. Like, that's quite the jump, but apparently the judge agreed, awarding $12,059,912.98. 98 cents is very important, I guess. 11.6 million of that is just statutory damages, which is probably bullshit. This is absolutely bullshit. So this is the same thing. It's the same reason why the Nintendo lawsuit from last week, why that was so high. It's that they award, it's based on the number of infractions or the number of alleged infractions. In this case, it's the number of downloads of the software. The number of downloads is a bit bullshit. It should really be the number of purchases of the downloads, really. But that's not what they went with. They went with the bigger number. So it's $2,000 per download. There were close to 6,000 downloads, and that translates to almost $12 million. $2,000 is the price that they put on the download. That's not how much it cost, by the way. It was like a tenner or something like that. But they're alleging that the damage of each download can be measured as $2,000. The idea is it was so damaging to the multiplayer aspect, and people were so, you know, dissatisfied with the whole thing that they wouldn't buy $2,000 worth of in-game items. That number is wrong. That is garbage. If anything, it should be whatever it cost plus like 10% for being a shithead. And that's it. That's how much it should have been. And like, he's not going to be able to pay that money back. He's again going to be like the Nintendo guy and effectively indentured servant to Bungie for the rest of his life, because he'll never be able to pay that back. You know, this is a garnish my salary situation here. This is take 30% of my wages for the rest of my life. And even then, it still won't be anywhere close to, like, they're never getting this money. Anyway, pretty shit. Moving on. Speaking of money, this is another case where one company is getting too much money. In this case, people are not getting enough money. Riot Games to compensate 1,500 women in gender discrimination case. So this is coming off the heels of a class action lawsuit taken in 2018 against Riot Games. Riot Games is the people behind League of Legends. It was one of the first of the sexual harassment, toxic workplace stories that came out about the video game industry around the time. Riot was one of the earliest ones. It was followed by Ubisoft. It was then followed by Activision, and so on. Ubisoft and Activision have yet to see any repercussions. You know, there's yet to be any lawsuit. There have been lawsuits levied against them. There's yet to be any, what's the word? Determination, verdict on any of those kings. New details have emerged from the Riot Games gender discrimination case, with a report saying 1,548 women will receive compensation. This will apply to anyone who was staff at Riot at the time or was contracted by Riot at the time. This is a $100 million settlement from the class action lawsuit over allegations of gender discrimination, sexual harassment, and a toxic work culture. So this is like the general kind of glass ceiling stuff. Women being passed over for promotions, belittled in the workplace, harassed in the workplace, groped in the workplace, and so on and so forth. And then there's like people getting drunk and being abusive and that kind of thing. Settlement was announced at the end of 2021. Under the terms of the agreement, the 1,548 women will receive not enough money for what happened, but whatever. It's between 2.5 and 5K minimum. And then after that, it goes up to maximum 40K depending on their status at the time and their tenure. So it's based on how long were you working there and, you know, what level at the company were you? Were you junior? Were you senior? And so on. That's kind of shit. Like, the amount of time at the company, sure, because you were subjected to more harassment than other people. But the fact that a junior employee and a senior employee will get different payouts despite receiving the same amount of harassment is garbage. Is that what I'm reading? It says recipient's employment status, which could mean contractor versus full-time. Even then, I'd still say bullshit. They both received the harassment. Why aren't they getting the same amount of money? Also, why is the money so small? Anyway. The filing also shows 7 women chose to opt out of the settlement, which possibly means there's another lawsuit on the way from them. Or they just didn't want to be bought off, or felt that the money wasn't enough. Is any kind of way you could go with that? They're private citizens. We you know, it's unlikely we'll ever learn about what that is. But yeah, like it's. I mean, it's good that there was it's good that they've had some repercussions to it, and $100 million is a lot of money. But I don't think it's a lot of money to Riot, you know, because they're like League of Legends people. That's a shit ton of money, or rather, they make a shit ton of money all the time. 100 million seems like not enough. It seems like go away money to me. I mean, it's good that they were held accountable, but it also feels like they weren't held accountable. You know, because it was so little. And it was a class action settlement instead of having to admit liability kind of thing. It's one of those, here's money and we'll just say nothing happened thing. Anyway. I don't like it. Moving on. Sony continues to shoot themselves in the foot. PlayStation shuts down Concrete Genie. Why are you showing me dating ads? Go away. I have cookies off. So that's not directed. That's not a directed ad. Cookies are off. Shut up. Moving on. PlayStation shuts down Concrete Genie dev amidst pivot to prestige. So Pixel Opus, the people behind Entwined and Concrete Genie, which is probably better known, which is on PlayStation Plus as well. Pretty good. Give it a shot. Sony has quietly closed down Pixel Opus, one of its first-party PlayStation studios. So the first time anyone heard anything about it was a Twitter tweet. Dear friends, our Pixel Opus adventure has come to an end. As we look to new futures, we wanted to say a heartfelt thank you to the millions of passionate players who have supported us in our mission to make beautiful, imaginative games with heart. We are so grateful. So this is a casualty of Sony's decision to not make small games anymore. They're not interested in making experimental stuff. They're not interested in indies. They're not interested in Japanese-developed games either. They're all in on prestige, AAA dreck, in my opinion. It's all the games are the same. They don't feel like they have an identity. I'm very disappointed with, since America, USA, took over Sony since the HQ moved from Tokyo to the US. It's just felt not great. Anyway, Pixel Opus will be shuttering on June 2nd. PlayStation Studios regularly evaluates its portfolio and the status of studio projects to ensure they meet the organization's short and long-term strategic objectives. Citation needed on the long-term one. It sure seems like it's more of a short-term thing. As part of a recent review process, it has been decided that Pixel Opus will close on June 2nd. Why? Why? Just let them make fucking games. This is also coming on the heels of them stopping work on Dreams. You know, Media Molecules, user-generated experimental stuff, so that they can make them do a live service game. It's like why? Why shut down Japan studio? Like, under modern Sony, we would not get Shadow of the Colossus. Under modern Sony, we wouldn't get Ape Escape. We wouldn't get Crash Bandicoot. We wouldn't get Gran Turismo. Like, we wouldn't get those games. Because of their focus on, no, it's gotta be a AAA blockbuster thing. Can't be an experimental fun game. It's gotta be boring, the same as every other game we've made, cause it's safe thing. And it's extremely frustrating. Anyway, it's highlighted here at the end of the article by Kenneth Shepard. It's a sad end for a talented studio, but feels pretty in line with Sony's hard pivot to prestige blockbusters at all costs. On top of closing Pixel Opus, the company shuttered Japan studio in 2021, which is putting out some of the more experimental work within the PlayStation first-party ecosystem. It's a shame, and while there are still some studios doing cool things at places like Media Molecule, and not anymore, they're not. There's certainly a gap within Sony's catalog without it. Yes, there's a massive, massive gap. You pretty much have to go to PC now for decent indie games, more or less. Anyway, moving on. So, last thing we'll finish with is a video game publisher absolutely misreading the room entirely. So, System Shock Publisher says it used AI artwork to start conversations. You know when they say, we just wanted to start a conversation, bro. It's also, don't tase me, bro. Or, it was a prank, bro. It's that. It's in the same catalog as those phrases. So, what they did. So, System Shock publisher Prime Matter posted this image, which is obviously an AI image. Look at the hands. That's how you know. Or look at the face, that's also how you know. But anyway, they posted that image, and it was like, hey, how would an AI visualize an AI that's also an AI or something like that? I don't know. They were trying to go for some meta, stupid bullshit. Anyway, the fans were like, fuck you doing? Stop this. Video games are art. This is garbage and plagiarized. Good, stop. Bad video game publisher. And they were like, we just started a conversation, you guys. It was just a prank. It was just a prank, brah. Just a prank, hon. Anyway, dumbasses. They very much misread the room. And even funnier is the developer behind the game contacted like a couple of different media and game journalists to be like, this isn't us. This is the publisher did this, not us. It's just not, you know, we still all about art. We're not about AI shit. Anyway, it was pretty funny, but also not great because the publisher's like, lol, look at this AI stuff. Anyway, not a great look for them. All right, since Redfall is shit, we'll leave Age of Wonders to play in the background. Anyway, that was your news. Just reminded me, oh yeah, it's just a prank hand. Ah, that's what it's from. And she ends up fucking falling off a cliff and breaking her neck. It's just a prank. Harsh. Anyway, that's your news for the 1st of May to the 7th, 2023. You're Too Long Didn't Watch. Chrono Odyssey is a new MMO game from Pixel. Looks pretty good, but also looks a bit too good to be true. Double Dragon Gaiden is a kind of somewhat soft reboot refresh of the Double Dragon series. Hopefully it'll turn out pretty good. Xbox PC Game Pass now has a friend pass. You can give it to 5 people. Hopefully they're your friends. The PlayStation Plus collection is disappearing at the end of this week or next week, depending on when you watch this video. Or it's gone already, also depending on when you watch this video. New releases, Redfall, bad, don't get it. Age of Wonders 4, might be good, lots of clicking though. Industry bullshit. Xbox is somehow surprised at the Redfall reviews, even though they absolutely knew it was going to be bad. BioWare famously has good writing, or at least it used to, but not anymore, now it hates its writers. And Sony is being dumb and closes another actually good studio. And that's your too long didn't watch of the week. So that is the news, at least, but what is happening on the channel? So, hang on, stop playing. So what is happening on the channel? Well, when I find it, and I remember to click over here. So here is our roadmap for the first half of 2023. These are all of the games that I plan to feature on the channel. If it has a green tick, it's there already. Go check out the VODs. If it has a yellow symbol, we're playing it right now. Keep an eye on the schedule. If it has a gray symbol, it's on the way. Keep an eye on the schedule. And if it has no symbol whatsoever, it's going to be there. Maybe. Who knows? It'll probably happen at some point. No worries, Banana. It's okay. Harsh, though. Yes, exams. I'm glad that's over, and I don't have them anymore. Definitely not having to take an exam in work later on in the month. Nope. Definitely not pissed about that. Anyway, so what were we doing last week? So last week, we started Immortality, continued 9 Years of Shadows. Didn't get to play any Resident Evil 4. This is a little annoying, but we did play The Quarry with Melwyn. So as part of Melwyn's Streamiversary, everybody congratulate Melwyn on the Streamiversary. It's a very important milestone. I dressed up for the occasion. We played a little bit of The Quarry. I say play, quotes. We played The Quarry. The co-op for The Quarry isn't exactly co-op. Kinda, it's a bit weird. You kind of just watch one person play and then you vote on the decisions to be made. But, you know, it's fun. It's a fun thing. So we played that yesterday. Possibly we'll be playing it again next week. Up to Melwyn if she wants to. I'm around. Feels like it. But for us next week, at least on this channel, we will be continuing with Resi 4 on Tuesdays from now on. So I do need to update the schedule. It's somewhere on the screen. I don't know. We don't stream on Mondays anymore. We stream on Tuesdays instead. Of course, it was fun. Okay, well, you can ignore whatever I have in the Saturday slot then in the schedule image, because we're going to play The Quarry instead. But anyway, Resi 4, Tuesdays, we have just reached the island. We didn't get to play it last week, so we're in more or less the exact same position. Wednesday, we'll be continuing Immortality. So Immortality is a full motion video mystery thing. We are trying to solve the mystery of Marissa Mansell, who made 3 films. None of the films came out, and she sort of disappeared from history, from the limelight, from whatever. And we basically have footage from the films themselves and the behind-the-scenes stuff, some of the auditions and that kind of thing, and we're trying to figure out what happened. What happened to her. And it was going fine. It was going like a lot of Sam Barlow's games, whereas you kind of bounce around the video database and you eventually, you know, come across clips that are like really interesting or push the story forward a little bit or push the mystery forward a little bit, until we got to about 20 minutes from the end when I was subjected to one of the freakiest moments I think I've had on stream. It was like a real hair-raising, freaked out, if, you know, I had hackles, or if I was a cat, all the fur on the back of my neck would go up kind of thing. I was like, what the fuck? What the fuck's going on here? So, like, I had heard there were horror elements to the game, and it's like, okay, well, I've spotted one. Here's one right now. So we're going to continue with that, and now that I've discovered that there is secret things in the clips. This should be interesting. So we're going to check that out and continue on Wednesday. I'd say there's about 2 or 3 more streams left on it. Thursday, we're going to continue 9 Years of Shadows, which is a Metroidvania type thing. It's very colorful, very pretty game. And I do like a lot of the traversal mechanics that they have going on. So you have different armor types. Each armor type has its own kind of traversal mechanic. So you have Poseidon armor, which turns you into a mermaid. You can swim really fast. Gaia armor lets you like slither around inside tunnels, and your Helios fire armor lets you sort of fly about like a phoenix kind of thing. And they kind of toggle between them and move about the area like that. That's really fun. The combat is not that fun, honestly. At least the regular enemy combat is kind of whatever. The bosses are interesting, and there are a lot of them. There are tons of bosses. Some of them are very frustrating, some of them are very fun. It's kind of hit and miss at the moment. But you do have a teddy bear friend, and that is definitely helping a lot. Playing through the game. Anyway, we'll be continuing that on Thursday. Friday, as I'm sure a lot of you are aware, there is a very big game coming out on Friday. Which is Tears of the Kingdom. Now, this is a trailer for Breath of the Wild because I don't want to watch the Tears of the Kingdom trailer, but pretend the Tears of the Kingdom trailer is here instead. We will play a little bit of Tears of the Kingdom. I am not planning to do a full Let's Play of it yet, because I want to break, honestly, from the Breath of the Wild stuff, but also everybody's gonna be fucking playing Tears of the Kingdom. Like, I don't want to, saturate the market exactly. Not that I have a huge dent in the market or anything, but one, everybody's going to be playing it, and two, I want to enjoy playing it offline myself, to be honest. So that's the way it's going to be doing. We will do a full Let's Play of it at some point, but it'll probably be like next year, maybe the year after, something like that. It's going to be like a while, so don't be expecting a full Let's Play anytime soon, but we will play it when the game comes out, because I am interested to see what the story is, and I don't want to be spoiled. So I pretty much have to play it immediately. So that's how we're going with that. Anyway, that is the plan for next week, except for what it says on Saturday. We're playing The Quarry instead. So Resident Evil 4, Tuesday, Immortality, Wednesday, 9 Years of Shadows, Thursday, Tears of the Kingdom on Friday, and The Quarry, not Resident Evil 4, on Saturday. So yes, important to note for people who pay attention to these kind of things, Monday and Tuesday have swapped around. The D&D day used to be Tuesday, but that has moved to Monday because it is more. It's better for our DM to play on Mondays, so we've swapped that. So I'm now Tuesday to Sunday streams, and I take a break on Mondays. That is the plan. So thanks for dropping by, Melwin and Taquita Banana. It's good to see you and see you all in the chat. Anyone who's lurking as well, happy to have you. Hopefully I'll see some of you next week for some of these games. If you want to check them out and drop by the channel. Also be sure to drop by Melwin's channel later on today, where she is playing the Good Mafia? Good Mafia or Bad Mafia? One of them. Anyway, I think it's Good Mafia this week. And not Bad Mafia. Either way, I'm not sure. One of them is fun to watch for a different reason. Let's just put it that way. Anyway, I'm going to head off. Have a good... Oh, it's Good Mafia. Okay, good. It's Good Mafia this week. Enjoy the rest of your day, and see you guys... Might see you guys in chat, in Melwin's chat later. Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow for Resi 4. Alright. Have a good one. Bye-bye.